Hello guys, this is Ashley talking to you through my writing. Now, all of the names I used are fake. This is mostly because I own a fairly successful business and I don't want this story coming back to me. So, a little background about me and the people in this story. I met Carter through work. We were actually doing the same side job after we graduated college. It was nothing fancy. We were actually McDonald's employees. He was working to pay for college while I was working to survive. I didn't have the means to pay for college. I do have a lot of regrets about that. What can I say? I lost my parents in an accident and didn't have any family who would take care of me. I came from a poor household, so there wasn't much money left for me either. So college was always out of the question for me. Now, let's talk about Carter's mother, Sandra. Sandra had a fancy college degree and considered herself better than everyone else. She is a true narcissist and loves to control people and meddle in their lives. Also, she was super mean to me and made fun of me for not having a college degree. When I was young and stupid, I let her bully me into doing things for her. I used to drive her to places, cancel or make plans according to her demands, and many more. Slowly, through the years, I had realized that Sandra didn't care about me at all. She was simply enjoying the power trip of having control over a lowly woman like me. When I realized that, I started to distance myself, but when Carter's father died, Sandra stuck to us like a leech. She loved to dictate our lives even after I and Carter had gotten married. When we moved away for work, she followed us and demanded that Carter take all her financial responsibility. At that time, Carter had just bought a house and didn't have the means to support his mom, so he said, "Sandra, I don't know what to do about my mom. I'm going sick with worry. She refuses to get a job, and God knows why she moved here." I think we both know why. Sandra is trying not to lose her control over us. Don't forget the fact that she convinced you not to put me on the house deed because we will divorce in the future. I know, Ashley. She's just worried about me. Now, I don't know what to do about her. I guess I'll have to take a second job. I didn't let Carter take a second job. He already had a lot on his plate with a stressful job and a big mortgage. Since I wasn't allowed to pay towards the mortgage or any kind of rent, I decided to just pay Sandra's rent and groceries until she got back on her feet. I was really hoping that she would come to her senses and finally get a job. Guys, Sandra never took a job. I paid her rent and groceries for a freaking year. She didn't know that I was paying, but her nonchalance at being so dependent on others was astonishing. She also amped up her controlling behavior, and it got worse on me. Somehow, she was convinced that the business I had started 2 years back was a hobby and didn't get any money. So she tried to micromanage me by keeping track of my spending and berating me for buying anything for myself. It was getting really annoying, and she just would not stop. Even after Carter talked to her, Sandra continued to harass me about my expenses and berate me for freeloading on her son. It was bizarre since she was the one freeloading on us. But I had kept my mouth shut. That was until the day when she angrily came to our house and said, "What is this that I'm hearing? Carter told me that you were going on a vacation. This better not be true. Tell me, Ashley, are you really going on a vacation?" "Yes, Sandra. We booked everything for 3 months from now. Me and Carter have been working very hard for the past year, so we thought of taking a break." "You can't waste money on a vacation when you're broke. I will not allow you to waste my son's hard-earned money like that. Only deserving people can go on vacations. You should stay at home and get your finances in check." "But we already agreed on plans and booked everything, Sandra. We can't just cancel it. We will be losing a lot of money." "No, you won't, Ashley. I can replace you on the trip. Me and Carter will have a lot of fun, and hopefully this will teach you to manage money better. My son won't be feeding you for the rest of your life, you know." So Sandra wanted me out of this trip while she inserted herself in my place. She had the plan thought out very thoroughly. Since we didn't offer her to join us on this vacation, Sandra came up with this plan instead. She wasn't faking her concern for my financial well-being, though. She had been always convinced that I make less money, and my husband shoulders all of my expenses. Sandra just used this opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. But I wasn't going to let her get away with her behavior. She needed to be put back in her place. I have suffered being insulted by her for years. I wasn't going to take this any longer. I said, "Looks like you have thought things through very carefully, Sandra. You made a whole plan about how you would replace me on this vacation." "Of course I made a whole plan. It is my son's money that you are going to waste. I know that your little hobby doesn't generate any profit and you rely on my son to fund it. It is already ridiculous that he wastes a lot of money on your hobby. But thankfully, I'm here to make sure you don't exploit him and bleed him dry." "Well, the hobby you keep referring to is an actual business, Sandra, and I don't see how you are being any different from me. You don't pay your own rent or even pay for your own groceries." "How I live my life is none of your business, Ashley. I am not answerable to you. You should concentrate on your own life and stop wasting money. You need to concentrate on being financially better, and after that, you can go on a luxury vacation." So, how Sandra lived her life was none of my business, but somehow my life was always Sandra's business. That's some intense double standard right there. It just shows how controlling and entitled Sandra was. She really expected me to listen to her and abandon the vacation I paid for, and she wanted me to stay at home while she had a gala time with Carter once she replaced me on the trip. I couldn't believe the audacity of this woman. By then, I had reached the limit of my patience, so I calmly looked at her and said, "You are right, Sandra. I guess I really should make better financial decisions. I've been wasting my money on some stupid things for a while now." "Good that you are listening to me and realizing the importance of money. I'm sure you will make some wise decisions and avoid things that are unnecessary." "That is right, Sandra. Thank you for being the ever-present tree of wisdom. I will take your advice and start saving money immediately." Sandra's eyes immediately lit up with satisfaction. She thought that she had gotten her way. Sandra thought that she had successfully stopped me from having fun while bagging herself a luxury vacation. Once again, she had exerted control over her daughter-in-law and satisfied her huge ego. But those were all dreams. I wasn't going to give her what she wanted. Sandra didn't know that. She simply smiled at me and said, "So you will be canceling the vacation to save money, right?" "I never said that, Sandra. But you can't afford to spend so much money on a vacation. You need to save money and then think of luxury expenses." "Okay, then I will stop paying your rent to save money. I'm sure that if I stop paying your rent from this month itself, I can easily save $6,000 when I leave for my vacation." Now, this was Sandra's turn to be surprised. She was really taken aback when I said that. She looked really nervous and tried to gauge my attitude. She wanted to be sure that she had heard me correctly. I stayed cheerful while smiling widely at her the whole time. She looked flustered and said, "What? What the hell are you talking about? What do you mean you'll stop paying my rent? My son pays my rent." "Oh, you didn't know, Sandra? Well, I've been paying your rent for the past year, Sandra. Your son already has a lot on his plate with the mortgage, so he begged me to help." No, that's impossible. You are lying to me. Carter is the one paying for my rent. You cannot afford my rent. You don't even have much money." "Again, Ashley, the hobby you keep talking about is an actual business. So yes, I do have money since my business has been running quite well. In fact, I earn more than Carter at times, so I was the one sending you rent money. No, no, no. This must be one of your lies. You just want to go for a vacation and be a spendthrift. So you are making up lies and making it look like you earn good money. I was amused at Sandra's grave denial of my words. She was still convinced that I was a loser who needed to be controlled and groomed. It was pathetic and insulting. Sandra was being a huge witch, and she would soon pay for it. As if God was watching me, Carter arrived home right then. He could sense the tension in the room and said, "Hey guys, what's going on?" "Carter, your wife has gone crazy. She's saying that she's been paying my rent." "That is true, Mom. Ashley has been paying your rent for the past year. So I bought the house. I'm responsible for the mortgage. So she had been helping you out with rent and even groceries." Sandra looked absolutely shocked when Carter confirmed what I said. My poor husband was very confused about what was happening. Sandra looked openly anxious while I was just sweetly smiling at her. Carter was so confused. He said, "Guys, please tell me what's going on. This is not looking too good." "Well, Sandra here wanted me to cancel my vacation and stay at home. Something about saving money and all." "What? Mom, I told you to stay away from this topic. We talked about it, Mom. What the hell?" Sandra looked like she was caught in a crime. She had already approached Carter about the vacation. I was already very curious and wanted to know more. I said, "Sandra talked to you about this before?" "Yes, Ashley. I didn't tell you because I knew you would be annoyed." "Mom, what the hell? When will you stop meddling in our lives and try to control us?" "Ashley, what did she tell you?" "Oh, she wanted me to stay at home and save money so that I don't mooch off of you any longer. And she had an entire plan about how she would replace me on the vacation and go with you instead of me." Carter looked really pissed. I didn't need to tell him that Sandra had also insulted me a lot. He knew what his mother was up to. Sandra was looking really panicked and knew what was coming. When Carter gets mad, he raises hell. He said, "Mom, what the hell is wrong with you? When will you freaking stop demeaning my wife? I told you to stay away from my family matters." "Carter, you don't understand. I am family. I can't see my son go broke because he married a loser like Ashley. I mean, she's planning a luxury vacation after earning peanuts from her hobby." "Mom, Ashley runs a damn business, and she gets enough money to afford 2 vacations like this in a year. I told you that already." "I'm sure Ashley has been living on your income for a while. You were just trying to protect her. You don't have to lie to me, son. There is no way she is earning so much money from a small business. She isn't even a college graduate." Sandra really messed up by saying that. She had hit a nerve. It has always been a sore spot for me. In her frenzy of proving herself to be right, Sandra ended up hitting the most sensitive part of my life. I was instantly angry, and Carter was even more furious now. He said, "Mom, how dare you say that? I've told you multiple times not to disrespect my wife. You still haven't stopped." "But I'm only telling the truth. Ashley isn't even that educated. She needs to learn from people who are. So she needs to cancel this ridiculous vacation and focus on saving money." "Mom, stop this right now. You have no right to humiliate my wife like that. You have lost all respect I had for you. This is insane." "Carter, you are overreacting. You need to stop sheltering your wife and lying to her. Ashley clearly can't make enough money, so I'm guiding her better. I'm sure Ashley will appreciate my advice." Sandra was full of herself as usual. She expected me to agree with her. How could I not? I was a poor woman with no college degree, right? That was what she had thought. But she didn't know that I didn't need a college to be better than her. I smiled at her and said, "I don't need your advice, Sandra. I am a successful woman who definitely doesn't need advice from someone who lives off of others. But You are right, though. I really should not waste my money on unnecessary things, so I will do as I planned. I will stop paying your rent and grocery bills from next month. Ha! I don't believe your threats, Ashley. My son will pay my rent and grocery bills. You never spent a cent on me anyway. You were just lying. Okay, then. Here, check these out. I have digital records of all the money I sent to you from my own account. I handed my phone to Sandra and let her see all the proof I had. She kept scrolling through the transactions and even saw how much I made every month. Her eyes bulged out and she couldn't believe what she was seeing, but she had to believe it. It was some damn good evidence. So she scrolls through my bank transactions and then laughs nervously before saying, "Oh, this is great. I'm glad my daughter-in-law is doing so well in life. It's truly amazing how talented you are. Looks like you won't have to save money for the vacation after all." "Oh, no, Sandra. You were right. I was wasting my money and not making some good savings every month. I really do need to cut back on my expenses. I'm sure 1 month's notice is all you need to get a new place or figure out a way to pay your rent." "Oh, come on now. Let's not be hasty about the rent. I'm just a poor old woman who made a mistake. Let's not hold grudges." "This is not a grudge, Sandra. You have opened my eyes to how badly I had messed up by taking your financial responsibilities. You are in perfect health, and I am sure you will find some great job with your fancy college degree. You better start looking because you have 1 month. I said this with a very serious face. Sandra knew that I wasn't freaking joking. I really was going to stop paying her rent. And she could say goodbye to the grocery bills I was paying every month as well. Sandra immediately went into a panic and started to cry. She said, "Ashley, please don't do this. I was pretty stupid to suggest you cancel your vacation. That was rude of me. I'm sorry. You can definitely go ahead with your plans." "Oh my God, thanks for the permission, Sandra. Not that I ever needed your freaking input on how to live my life. I will be going on this vacation and I will be cutting you off rent as well." "That's final." "Carter, please make Ashley see the reason. She's threatening me because she's mad at me. Won't you support your poor and elderly mother?" So she has now turned to my husband for help. Sandra thought that Carter would act like a dutiful son and side with her. What she didn't know was that Carter was done with her shit too. We had been discussing Sandra's controlling behavior and had decided to cut her off after the next fiasco. And this was her last strike. Carter wasn't going to speak in her favor anymore. He said, "I support Ashley wholeheartedly, Mom. She's right in her decision. She was generous enough to help you when you intentionally left your last job. But you have always just berated her and tried to dominate her because you have a college degree." "I know. I was wrong, Carter. I've already apologized for it. Your wife is being stubborn." "What you did today was the last straw for us, Mom. One apology doesn't solve it. We have been letting you get away with your controlling behavior for a long time now. But we won't do that anymore. And we will start by cutting you off financially." "You cannot do that to me, Carter. You cannot take your wife's side over me. I'm your mother. You know that I won't be able to pay the rent. Do you want to see your poor mother homeless?" "Like Sandra said, Mom, you have a college degree, so you'll get a job. It's time for you to live your own life and leave us alone. I guess you should take your own advice and start saving money now." Sandra was pretty upset when we presented a united front. She tried to argue with us, but finally left after we kicked her out. Carter and I talked about our next steps and decided that we indeed wanted to cut her off financially. Carter wasn't in the position to help his mom anyway. As for me, we both agreed that I wasn't wasting my money on someone who didn't deserve it. So we made the final decision and were pretty happy with it. Now, Sandra was under the impression that we were only mad at us. She was so confident of her power over us that she refused to contact or apologize to us again. But As the month passed and she still didn't get her rent money, she started to panic again. She showed up at our house and made a big scene of begging for our forgiveness. She said, "Ashley, please, I'm sorry. I promise to stick to my own business from now on. Please don't cut me off financially like this." The decision has already been made, Sandra. Your new resolution will not change it in any way. But I will lose my apartment, Ashley. Where will I go? I'll be homeless. I barely have money for food. You should have thought about that before trying to humiliate me and control my life. If you don't have money, you can get a job. You are not my problem anymore. Carter, will you not support your mom even a little? I'm telling you that I'm willing to change. I talked to you about these things, Mom. You never listened to me. We have already given you too many chances. Now, from experience, I can tell that you won't change. It's best if we have some distance between us two. Ashley and I are going low contact with you for now. If you do anything more stupid, we will cut off contact as well. Just to be clear, Sandra, even if we ever reconcile, you will never get financial help from us again. And don't bother waiting on rent money. I have already used it up to upgrade our suites and book some extra activities for our vacation. See, I did save money and made my vacation even better. Thanks for the advice, Sandra. Sandra started to cry again once we were done talking. The last thing I said to her must have hammered home that she really had messed up her perfect life all by herself. She kept begging and pleading with us for mercy, but we didn't show her any. She finally left when she saw that we weren't even paying attention to her anymore. After that, she kept harassing us on our phones and social media. That was when we both blocked her for good. 3 months later, we went on the vacation we had planned so diligently. I was so happy to finally treat my husband to a luxury vacation on my own dime. Carter was super happy and promised to make it up to me. He didn't have to, though, because I found out that he had added me to his house deed. It was a pleasant surprise, and I didn't know what to say. Carter simply said that he did it because it felt right. He finally understood that he was holding back a lot due to the insecurities that his mother drilled into him. Sandra fed him some major bullshit so that she could keep him under control. He went along because he didn't know any better, but now he's slowly starting to change after we removed Sandra from our lives. Meanwhile, Sandra did end up taking a small job. Because of the huge gap in her resume, she couldn't get a well-paying job. She had to settle for a low-paying job, especially because our town didn't have any good jobs and she hadn't worked even after getting a college degree. She has moved to a small rented apartment and shares it with roommates. She does try to reach out at times, but we ignore her. Carter is seeing a therapist, and a lot more of Sandra's controlling behavior is coming to the surface. Sorry, but I don't feel comfortable sharing it here. Carter is working on it, so it looks like we won't be having a relationship with Sandra anytime soon.